Hello everybody, today is another very important lesson. I can find sides and angles of a right triangle using SOHCAHTOA, and then cross multiplying or finding the inverse. So we're just going to start with this little exercise right here, a very basic 7th grade equation, but the reason that we're going to be doing this is so you can understand what you're doing, which will apply to today's lesson. So if I want to get x by itself, I need to get rid of things. So the first thing I would get rid of is the plus 5. Well, how do I get rid of a plus 5? I do minus 5. Why? Well, the reason is that addition and subtraction are inverses of each other. And the inverse operation of an operation cancels it out. Next, I need to get rid of the 2. Well, since I'm multiplying it, I do the inverse of multiplication, which is division, to get that to cancel out. The inverse operation makes something cancel out. Now, when we're dealing with something like sine, which we're going to be learning today, the inverse of sine is literally called inverse sine. And the symbol for inverse sine is sine with a little -1 exponent. And that's going to be how we're going to get sine, cosine, and tangent to cancel with inverse. So let's go through our first example and go from here. So here are our steps for whether we're finding a side or an angle. We're going to start by doing the same thing we did in the last lesson. We're going to label each side with H, A, and O. Then we're going to determine whether to use sine, cosine, or tangent, and we'll talk about what that means now. So first step is to label my A, my O, and my H. So I'm going to always draw a little arc around the angle because this arc, if you remember, always connects the H and the A. So I'm going to start with the H, which is the long slanted side opposite the right angle, this one. The angle connects the H to the A. The O is the side opposite. I know because there's an angle involved, I'm going to be using SOHCAHTOA. Here's step 2. We have to determine which one we're using, sine, cosine, or tangent. So the question is, out of the A, the O, and the H, which two are involved in this question? Well, A is labeled with 10, O is labeled with 12. H is blank. H is not involved in this particular question because the hypotenuse doesn't have a measurement. So since O and A are involved, I choose the trig function that has O and A, which is tan. So I write tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. So again, out of A, O, and H, which two are labeled in this particular problem? O and A. Tangent is the trig function with O and A. Now I substitute my values into the equation. Theta is a variable for the angle. The angle in this example is x. O is 12. A is 10. Now I want to solve for x. I have a tan in front of x. So to get rid of tan, I need to do the inverse of tan. The inverse of tan is inverse tan. So I'm going to do inverse tan to both sides. That gets tan to cancel. Again, the inverse operation always cancels out an operation. So I'm left with x on the left-hand side, and my right-hand side is inverse tan of 12 over 10. All I have to do now is type this into the calculator. So, first off, when I go to my calculator, we need to be in degree mode. In this course, we always need to be in degree mode. So if you hit the mode button, which is next to the second button, right now I'm in radian mode. I need to tab over to degree and hit enter. Your calculator will default to radian mode, so you need to physically put it into degree mode. Once you put it into degree mode, it'll stay that way unless you change it or unless your calculator is cleared. When you take your Regents exam, they will clear your calculator, so you will have to physically put it into degree mode. Now, to type in inverse tan, you'll see sine, cosine, and tangent across the middle here. And then you'll see right above them inverse sine, inverse cosine, and inverse tan in blue. So if I want to type in regular sine, cosine, tan, I just hit the buttons. If you want to type in inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse tan, then I utilize my second button. So in this particular case, I want inverse tan of 12 over 10. So I hit second tan to type in 12 over 10. Again, whenever I want to type a fraction in, I like to use alpha y equals enter. And you're going to get a decimal. So I believe, I don't know what I said to round to. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. I'm going to look up what I want to round to. Okay, I said to round to the nearest degree. So I got 50.19. Nearest degree is the nearest whole number. Is the digit after that 5 or higher? No. So my answer is 50 degrees. So what did I do? I drew the angle in. I drew that angle because that's where the x is. I label my A, my O, and my H. Since O and A were involved, since O and A are with T in TOA, I'm using tan. I substituted my values in. Theta is x. Theta is always the angle. O is 12. A was 10. At that point, to get rid of tan, I do inverse tan on both sides. I typed it into the calculator. I got my answer. Number 2. First step, label A, O, and H. So I'm going to kind of draw the angle in. H is the hypotenuse, the long slanted side opposite the right angle. The angle always connects the H and the A, which makes this my O. So, TOA. Out of the A, the O, and the H, which two are involved in this question? Well, A is 7, H is 10, O is blank, so A and H are involved, so K. K is the formula for cosine of theta equals A over H. Now I substitute my values in. Theta in this example is x, A is 7, H is 10. Well, I don't want cosine x, I want x. So to get cosine to cancel, I do inverse cosine of both sides. That gets cosine to cancel. I have x on the left-hand side. I have inverse cosine of 7 over 10 on the right-hand side. I go to my calculator to type in inverse cosine. I hit second cosine. 7 over 10. 45.57. And there's more, so I kind of write ... to signify that there's more. Nearest degree is the next digit 5 or higher. Yes. So 46 degrees is my answer. So what did I do? I drew my angle in. I labeled my A, my O, and my H. H is the hypotenuse. The angle always connects the H and the A, always the opposite. Next, to determine if it's sine, cosine, or tangent, I look at which two are involved. The A and the H were involved, so that's why I'm using K. K is the formula, is an acronym for the formula cosine theta equals A over H. I substitute my values in. Theta is the angle, which was x, A was 7, H was 10. To get rid of cosine, I did inverse cosine on both sides. I typed that into the calculator. I got my answer. So even though I went over this in the last lesson, let's just quickly, one more time, make sure you understand what SOHCAHTOA is. SOHCAHTOA is an acronym for the three trig functions. So is sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Ca is cosine of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And TOA is tan of theta equals opposite over adjacent. In every problem, you will be using one of these three equations. All right, now number 3, I want you to start doing this partially on your own. So I want you to do step 1, take about 15 seconds, draw the angle in, label your H, your A, and your O. Take about 10 to 15 seconds to do that. H is my hypotenuse, the long slanted side, opposite the right angle. The angle connects my H to my A, which makes this my O. So, SOHCAHTOA. Out of the A, the O, and the H, which two are involved in this example? H and O. H and O is with sine. So I write sine theta equals O over H. I want you to take about 15 seconds right now, and I want you to substitute theta, O, and H into this equation. Theta in this example is X. O in this example is 17. H in this example is 28. Now, I don't want sine X, I just want X. So to get rid of sine, I do inverse sine of both sides. I get X equals inverse sine of 17 over 28. I want you to finish it off from here. Type it into the calculator, get your answer. I'll give you about 15 seconds to do that. Second sine to type in inverse sine. Alpha y equals enter. 17 over 28. The nearest degree, that's 37 degrees. And that's it. All right, let's skip ahead to the back now. Finding sides with trig now. So my first 2 steps are going to be the same. Label your A, your O, and your H. I'm sorry, your first 3 steps are going to be the same. Label your A, your O, and your H. Determine if it's sine, cosine, or tangent, and substitute in. So why don't you do the first step, determine if it's H, A, label your H, your A, and your O. This is the angle I'm working with because this is the angle that's labeled. I'll give you about 10 seconds to do that. H, A, O. SOHCAHTOA. Now we're going to determine if it's sine, cosine, or tangent. Out of the A, the O, and the H, which two are involved in this example? A and O. TOA. Tan theta equals O over A. Substitute the values in. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to try and do that step on your own. Substitute in for theta, substitute in for O, substitute in for A. Theta is 23, O is X, A is 18. Now, in the previous examples, I was then doing inverse in order to get rid of tan sine or cosine. But I don't have tan in front of x. I have x in a fraction. So when x is in a fraction, when I'm finding a side, I'm going to cross multiply and solve. So there's two circumstances. Either way, we're always doing the same first three steps. We're labeling the h, the a, and the o. We're determining whether it's sine, cosine, or tangent, depending on which two are involved. Then we're substituting into the formula. If we're finding an angle, you're going to have sine x, cosine x, or tan x equals, you're going to do inverse. If you're finding a side, then you're going to cross multiply and solve. Now, the one thing I want you doing before you cross multiply, and different teachers teach it slightly different, but I think that if you do this step, you're going to be less likely to make a mistake. Type in tan of 23 to the calculator. Tan of 23 is 0.42, that long thing. So what we're going to do is we are going to just write out the first four decimal places. I'm going to write dot, dot, dot. That means there's more. And when I do the next calculation, I'm just going to use the whole thing in the calculator. So now when I cross multiply, 1 times x is x. 0.4244 times 18. I'm just going to go to the calculator. Since I have that whole answer there right now, I'm just going to hit times. That a and s comes up. That means it's taking the previous answer, 18. What you could also do is you can copy and paste this, highlight that 0.4244, hit enter, and then do times 18. Either way, it's going to give you the same thing. I asked you to round to the nearest tenth on this side, so that would be 7.6. So, same three steps as finding angles, but when you're finding sides, I want you to type this into the calculator, which gives you that 0.4244, and then you cross multiply and solve. Number two, I want you to do the first three steps on your own. I want you to label your A, H, A, and O. I want you to determine if it's sine, cosine, or tangent, write the equation, and then substitute in. So why don't you pause, complete all of that, and then unpause. Okay, now that you did the first three steps, let's see if you got them right. That's my angle, so this is my H. The angle always connects the H to the A, which makes this my O. Out of A, O, and H, which two are involved in this question? A and H, so it's cosine. Theta in this example is 18. A is x, H is 17. From here, because x is in the fraction, I'm going to cross multiply and solve. So let's start it together. Cosine 18 is 0.9510. So I'm going to write 0.9510 dot, dot, dot. That means there's more to come. Equals x over 17. And then you're going to cross multiply and solve. So I'm going to let you finish it from here. I'll just pause. I'll just wait for 15 seconds. It shouldn't take you that long. X times 1 is x. 0.9510 dot, dot, dot times 17. I'm just going to take that 0.9510 times 17 to the nearest tenth. That's 16.2. And that's my answer. We're going to do just one more together, and then after that, you're going to have the rest of the period to practice. So I want to go over, is it this one? I want to go over number 4. I want you to start it on your own. I want you to determine, label your H, your A, and your O, determine if it's sine, cosine, or tangent, substitute in. There's going to be something slightly different on the cross multiplication step on this one, but we'll get there when we get there. So why don't you pause and complete the first few steps, and then we'll go over the end together. Okay, now that you've completed it on your own, H angle always connects the H to the A. This is my O. A and H are involved, cosine. Theta is always the angle. In this case, the angle is 26. A is 14. H is x. Since x is in a fraction, I'm going to cross multiply and solve. Before I do that, I'm going to type in cosine of 26. I get 0.8987 dot dot dot. When I cross multiply, I get 0.8987x equals 14. So now to get x by itself, I just have to divide by the 0.8987 dot dot dot. So depending on where the x is, you might have to end up dividing. So I'm just going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to do 14 divided by, now you have a choice. You can tab up so that that's highlighted, hit enter, and then hit enter. Or the other way to do it, I can do 14 divided by second answer. So answer is above the negative in the bottom right corner. If I hit second and then that negative sign, A and S, that A and S comes up, and that's just automatically copying and pasting the previous answer. In both cases, you see you get the same answer. To the nearest tenth, that's 15.6. This is a really, really, really important lesson. We're going to practice tomorrow. We're going to combine this with Pythagorean theorem in practice. Then we're going to do word problems with this. But it's really, really important to be able to do this. It's not that difficult if it's practiced. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to practice, practice, practice. Your classwork/homework is going to be to finish finding sides and angles with Trig or with SOHCAHTOA. And again, your steps, always, you're going to label your H, your A, and your O. From there, you're going to determine if it's sine, cosine, or tangent, depending on which ones are involved. You're going to substitute into the appropriate formula. If you're finding a side, x will be in a fraction, you're going to cross multiply and solve. If you're finding an angle, you're going to use inverse sine, inverse cosine, or inverse tan. Again, very important lesson, so I hope you guys do well with it. And please ask questions or rewatch or utilize the keys if you're having trouble. And we're going to continue working with this for the next week or so. Have a great day.